And now it is my great pleasure to introduce, I can't even say enough good things about him because he's my husband, so I gotta say good things. But Maxwell Anderson, Dr. Maxwell Anderson, if you've ever seen the documentary Southern Comfort about the death of Robert Eads of ovarian cancer, Maxwell was in that. Robert was his best friend. Maxwell's been an activist. He transitioned over almost 27 years ago. And he has been an activist almost from day one and has just done and seen and been a lot. And he's got a few remarks for us.
I'm a little short. This thing is never lower enough, but we'll give it a shot. Thank you very much for being here. I think this shows that we mean business and that we really can pull together and be a community and be a family and stand near each other. And I really, really appreciate y'all being here. I want to tell you about some of my brothers. Most of you know the story of my older brother, Robert. He was my best friend. He was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and he couldn't find any doctors to treat him. He needed care from a gynecologist who specialized in cancer. But every doctor who was called told him they couldn't have a man coming to their office for treatment. He lived in Toccoa, Georgia, and the nearest doctor who would treat him was in Augusta. It took 3 hours to drive down there for chemotherapy. And afterwards, he was so sick that it usually took 5 to 6 hours to drive him home. Now, I don't know if his life could have been saved if he had found treatment sooner or if he had found it closer. I do know that the last year of his life added a lot of misery because so many doctors refused to treat a transplant. I also want to tell you about my brother Marcellus. He wanted to have children in his life, and after an agonizing decision to put his transition on hold, he quietly gave birth to a beautiful son. He didn't write a book about it. He doesn't all over the news or the media. Instead, he was rejected and humiliated by his family, by his friends, and by the gay and lesbian and even the transgender community. They shunned him and called him a freak. And one night, alone in the dark, he hung himself. I want to tell you the story of my little brother Michael, who lives in Milwaukee. 10 years ago, he was walking down the street, and a bunch of guys grabbed him and dragged him into an alley. He was beaten. He was gang raped. Then they held him down and began to cut at him. No, they weren't trying to kill him. They carved words into his flesh, and he still has those scars today. Words on his wrists and his ankles. Words like queer, dyke, fag, and die. Now the story didn't end there. He managed to get himself to the ER. And over the next few hours, every intern and every nurse on duty made an excuse to examine him. But nobody ever called a rape counselor to help him. They finally cleaned and stitched his wounds and sent him home. He still has those scars on his body today. I could go on telling you about friends and about friends of friends, telling you about those who were abused and hurt, raped and beaten, telling you about those who were killed and who were pushed so far to death that they seemed that that was their only way out, was suicide. Too many of our brothers and sisters in the transgender community and in the genderqueer community are being hurt, and their hurt is too often ignored. Now it is time. It's time for the dying to stop. It's time for the pain to stop. Today, right now. I cannot idly stand by those I love and care about perish in their streets and in their homes and in our hospitals and jails. Do not all human beings deserve equal protection, equal understanding, equal acceptance under the law? Do we not all share this planet together, live and work among each other? Is it so repulsive a notion to just let people live? I ask each of you to make a pledge right here, right now, for my trans brothers and sisters and all of you genderqueers. Right now, right here, this is the time to live. This is the time to be visible. This is the time to be free, and this is the time to be whole. And for all of you allies and friends and family, I'm asking you to reach out to the trans community. No, not the community, to the transgender people. See us as your friends and your family, your brothers and your sisters. I'm asking you to pledge yourselves to that. Right now, there are debates in Washington and in almost every state in the country about gay rights. Laws are being drafted, legislation is being proposed, and over, gender identity and gender expression are left out of those debates. To make the laws and rights more acceptable to people who have no intention of ever accepting us, any of us, gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. I'm telling you right now that that is not acceptable. Civil rights and human rights are for everyone. Every single one of us. Nobody gets left behind.
That's right.
To pledge yourselves to that nobody gets left behind. I'm also telling you that success is not measured by grand speeches and proclamations. Success is not measured by how much money was raised by some gay organization. Success is not measured by seeing any gay leaders invited to parties at the White House or any other house. Success is measured in one way only: the civil rights we all achieved. All of us. Nobody gets left behind. I look forward to a day when there is no need for a march or a rally. When holding my partner's hand is as commonplace in public as are the children running in the playground. I'm looking forward to a day when my brothers and my sisters are accepted for who they are, when none of them are suffering and dying because of hate. We are all human beings. Let us heal together. Now is the time. Yeah.